Okay, today we're going to go ahead and raise a power to a power. What that means is I have the power of w to the third. And then within parentheses, that entire piece is going to be raised to the power of 4. So I'm going to expand to see how this answer comes about. Notice that I have w to the third as my term, and I need to multiply that by itself 4 times. So I'm going to expand that to write that. So I have w to the third. Now I need to multiply that by itself 4 times. W to the third times W to the third times W to the third. Now within each of those parentheses, notice that W to the third is the same thing as W times W times W. Remember, I take my W and I multiply it by itself 3 times. Now I need to do that for each of these. Times W times W times W times W times W times W times W. That's a lot of W's. I hope we find a shortcut so I don't have to keep counting all of these. Okay, so now let's go see how many W's we have. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So that means my answer is W to the 12th power. Now I'm noticing that if my answer is 12, I had an exponent of 3 raised to an exponent of 4. If I do 3 times 4, what do I get? I get 12. Okay, let's go ahead and check what happens when we have a division problem. Now I have x to the second divided by x to the fourth, all raised to the power of 3. That means I need 3 of these. So I have x to the second over x to the fourth times x to the second over x to the fourth times x to the second over x to the fourth. Now I have 3 sets of x to the second divided by x to the fourth. So I'm going to go ahead and combine them across. Remember, when I'm multiplying, I'm going to add my exponents across. So notice I have x to the second times x to the second times x to the second. My base is x. And I'm going to go 2 plus 2 plus 2 is 6. Now let's take care of our denominators. Notice I have x to the fourth times x to the fourth times x to the fourth. I have a base of x, so I'm going to keep that. And then 4 plus 4 is 8. Plus 4 more is 12. Now I want to take a look at what happened here. I have x to the 6th. Notice here I have x to the second to the third. So if I take my 3 and I distribute it to my 2, 3 times 2 is 6. Now, when we distribute, remember we have to always distribute to everything on the inside, so I take my 3 and I distribute, and I have 3 times 4 is 12. That looks like our rule. If I take my exponent, my power that's on the outside of the parentheses, and multiply it by the exponent on the inside, then I can get my answer. So let's go ahead and check the rule. The rule says, when raising a power to a power, distribute the power to all terms and multiply. So let's practice this a few times. So let's take a look at our first one. We have 2 times x to the fourth, all raised to the third power. Now, I don't want to have to write out all of those parentheses. So what I'm going to do first is distribute that 3. To distribute that 3, remember it has to go to all terms in the problem. So I need to distribute the 3 to the 2, and I need to distribute the 3 to the 4. Now let's talk about what that means. Now when I distribute that 2 to the 3, remember this 2 actually has an exponent of 1. Remember, if we can't see the exponent, it is a 1. So 3 times 1 is 3, so this is 2 to the third. And then 3 times 4 is 12, so that x to the 12th. And so I can stop there. But if you're taking a multiple choice test, it's very possible that 2 to the third will be given to you as 2 times 2 times 2, which is 8x to the 12th. So you might find either of these answers on your assignment. Okay, let's take a look at the second one. Notice in this one, I have 3 different terms. I'm going to distribute that to the exponent to all 3 of them. Remember that 4 technically has an exponent of 1. Then I'm going to distribute my 2 to m to the second, and I'm going to distribute the 2 to n to the 5th. So 2 times 1 is 2, so I have 4 to the second. Then I have 2 times 2 is 4, so I have m to the 4th. Then I have 2 times 5 is 10, so I have n to the 10th. Now I am done, but like I said, on a test it's very possible that they'll give you 4 to the second as 16, because 4 times 4 is 16. So you might find both of these answers. Both are correct. Okay, now it gets a little bit more complicated with the division because we have more steps to take care of. So notice in this one, I have a lot of terms to distribute. So my 2 on the outside here is going to be distributed to the 3. It's going to be distributed to the exponent of 4. It's going to be distributed to the 4. Remember, these have exponents of 1. And then the 2 is going to be distributed to the 5. So I've got to do it 4 different times. So 2 times 1 is 2. So I have 3 to the second. Then 2 times 4 is 8. So x to the 8th. Keep my division sign. 2 times 1 is 2. So that's 4 to the second. And 2 times 5 is 10. So x to the 10th. Now I have distributed my 2, but this is not solved yet. So I still have some work to do. So notice that I can actually do this division problem right here. So I'm going to just do that one first. So I have 3 to the second. 3 to the second is actually 9. 4 to the second is 16. I can't simplify those. 9 and 16 do not have any common factors, so I actually leave that as 9/16. Now I have x to the 8 divided by x to the 10th. I'm going to do that over here just so I see what it looks like. That's x to the 8 minus 10. That gives me x to the negative 2. So if I have x to the negative 2, I've got to figure out where I'm going to put that. Remember, if I have x to the negative 2, we don't like to have negative exponents. So what I can do is I can drop it to the denominator to make it positive. So my answer becomes 9 over 16x to the second. If you don't remember how to change a negative exponent to a positive exponent, go back and watch our video from yesterday. Okay, one more. Let's go ahead and take a look at this. One's a little bit longer, but we still do the same steps. I'm going to take that 2 and I'm going to distribute it to every term inside the parentheses. So remember that the 5 does have an exponent of 1 and the 3 also has an exponent of 1. So I have 5 with an exponent of 2 times 1. So that becomes 5 to the second. 2 times 4 is 8, so I have x to the 8th. Times 2 times 1 is 2, so I have 3 to the second. Times 2 times 6 is 12, so x to the 12th. Now, this still looks a little bit messy. I do have some terms to combine here. I do know that 5 to the second is 25. And I know that 3 to the second is 9. Okay. So I also can see that I have an x to the 8th that can be combined with x to the 12th. So I'm multiplying those, so I can bring those together. So I have x to the 8 plus 12. And notice that I still have 25 times 9. So let's clean this up just a little bit more. I know that 9 times 25, well, 4 25s make 100. So 8 25s would make 200. Plus then I have one more 25. So this is 225. And then I have x to the, what's 8 plus 12? 20. And there is my answer. I know it gets a little complicated, but make sure you always go back and follow the rules and watch any other videos that will help you.